Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack complex topics and, hopefully, turn some dense information into surprising insights for you. Today, we're peeling back the layers on multi-factor authentication, MFA. Specifically, we're looking at it within the Delinea platform. We've got a bunch of detailed sources here laying out exactly where and how Delinea uses MFA to really tighten up security. So our mission today is basically to distill all that technical stuff into something clear, actionable, helping you see how MFA works beyond just, the login screen.
Right. And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how MFA, which, a lot of people might just see as an extra hoop to jump through, it's actually woven into pretty much every critical action within the Delinea system. So this deep dive, it should show you it's not just about stopping someone at the front door. It's really about granular control, keeping things secure throughout the whole process, building a resilient posture.
Okay, let's unpack that then. When you first think MFA, login's probably the first thing that pops into your head, right?
Yeah, that's the standard.
And you're not wrong. Delinea definitely starts there. When you're logging into the Delinea platform itself, users can use the Delinea mobile app for this. You might get a push notification popping up on your phone, or you can type in an 8-digit TOTP code from the Authenticator tab in the app. Pretty standard stuff there.
Yeah, it covers that initial entry point. But connecting that to the, let's say, the bigger security picture, MFA really shows its value when you apply it to the really sensitive actions after login. It's not just about getting in. Delinea can actually demand MFA again just to access specific secrets stored inside the platform.
Okay. So even if someone somehow got past the initial login.
Exactly. They hit another security check right away before they can grab, say, a critical password or API key.
Makes sense.
And for this, Delinea gives you choices. You can use email for a code, the Delinea mobile app again, a physical YubiKey, or other modern hardware tokens using the FIDO2 protocol.
FIDO2, right. That's the more phishing-resistant standard.
It's becoming increasingly important.
Okay, now here's where I think it gets really interesting, especially for anyone needing that fine-grained control. Privilege elevation.
Absolutely. This is a huge area.
Delinea has these granular privilege elevation policies. So administrators can basically set it up so users need MFA to run specific powerful commands on Windows or Unix Linux servers.
Precisely. And think about why that's important. An attacker gets initial access, maybe low privileges. Their next step is often trying to escalate, right, to get more power.
Yeah, standard attack path.
So Delinea puts an MFA checkpoint right there. It makes that escalation step much harder, much noisier, and definitely auditable. This applies when you're executing commands with elevated rights on Linux, and UDNIX may be using Zinzdo, which is Delinea's tool for that, or working in restricted shells of Ziz. And on the Windows side, MFA can gate access to specific desktops, applications, or network rights that require elevation.
So it's really locking down not just access, but specific actions with elevated rights.
Exactly. It's about least privilege enforced dynamically.
And does this also cover things like, say, running a specific application as an administrator?
Yes, privilege elevation for tasks like running applications with higher privileges or even accessing completely new desktop sessions can also be configured to require MFA. And what's neat here is it can even integrate with third-party MFA providers using the Radius protocol. So you might be able to use an existing MFA system you already have.
Radius, okay. Good flexibility there. So this brings up a question for me. What about tricky situations? Like what if a machine is offline? Or what if you need security to be, smarter depending on the situation?
Great points. Delinea has thought about that. First, there's offline MFA. Users can set up an offline MFA profile beforehand. So if their machine can't reach the Delinea platform, they can still use this offline profile as their second factor.
So MFA enforcement doesn't just disappear if the network cable gets unplugged.
Exactly. Security continuity, even disconnected, very important for, say, field workers or in certain network segments. And then there's the context-aware part you mentioned. MFA isn't necessarily always on for everything. It can be applied based on context, things like the time of day, the user's location maybe, or perhaps only when accessing specific high-risk servers.
So you can build smarter rules. Like maybe MFA is required for database access after hours, but not during the workday.
Precisely. It allows for flexible policies that adapt to different operational needs and risk levels, rather than a blunt, one-size-fits-all approach.
And how does this tie into roles, like role-based access control?
It integrates tightly. MFA is a key part of RBAC for adding extra security layers. You might need step-up authentication for certain roles or actions defined within those roles, and this step-up can use various methods. Tokens, SMS codes, a phone call verification, OTP apps like Google Authenticator, RadiUS again, email codes, or even security questions defined by the user.
Wow, okay. That's a lot of layers. So how is all this granularity actually managed? It sounds like it could get complicated.
Well, the core mechanism is something called authentication profiles.
Okay.
Think of these profiles as the rule books. MFA is configured through these profiles. A profile specifies which challenges are needed. Maybe you need a password plus a push notification, for example. And it also defines how long that authentication is valid before the user gets prompted again. Maybe it's valid for 8 hours, maybe just 1 hour for sensitive tasks. Then these profiles work together with identity policies. The policies determine when a specific profile with its MFA requirements actually gets applied to a user.
Got it. So profiles define the what and how long, and policies define the when and to whom.
You've got it. It provides that customizable framework for layering security exactly where you need it.
Okay, so with all these places MFA can pop up, people are definitely going to wonder, what kinds of MFA does Delinea actually support? How flexible is it?
Yeah, that's crucial for adoption and fitting into existing environments. And the good news is there's a really wide array of options. They've aimed for flexibility and robust security.
Okay, lay it on us. What are the choices?
Well, what's impressive is just the sheer breadth. It lets organizations kind of pick and choose what works best for them, their users, their existing tech stack. So the types you can configure pretty much out of the box right through the user interface. You've got email confirmation code simple, sends a one-time code to your email. There's the mobile authenticator, which uses the Delinea mobile app we mentioned for either push notifications or those timed OTP codes. You can have a phone call option where the system literally calls the user's phone to authenticate. Text message, SMS, confirmation code, another common one, codes sent via SMS.
Right.
Then there's OTP client support. This means you can use popular third-party authenticator apps like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Authy, and so on.
Okay, that's good. Lots of people already use those.
Exactly. And for hardware tokens, there's support for FIDO2 authenticators. That includes things like YubiKeys, but also other devices using that FIDO2 standard.
Strong hardware-based option there.
Yep. Then you also have the classic security questions, where users have to answer predefined personal questions. And finally, smart cards, specifically supporting PIV CAT cards, which you see a lot in government and certain enterprises for really strong identity verification.
Wow, okay. That is a comprehensive list, from simple email codes all the way to FIDO2 and smart cards.
Pretty much covers the spectrum. And beyond those specific types, there's also integration with MFA providers.
So you can plug in other services.
Right. They mentioned specific integrations like with Duo Security, known for its user experience. There's Radius support, which is huge because it lets you leverage an existing Radius server you might already have for authentication. Could be Cisco IA, NPS, whatever speaks Radius.
So you don't necessarily have to manage MFA just within Delinea.
Correct. You can integrate with what you've got. They specifically mention third-party Radius authentication as well. And there's also explicit Yubico integration, particularly called out for accessing both the Delinea platform itself and secrets specifically within Secret Server Cloud using YubiKeys.
Okay, it's really clear then. Delinea's approach to MFA is definitely comprehensive. It looks very adaptable. It seems designed to make sure that privileged access stays tightly controlled, stopping unauthorized access no matter the scenario or the authentication method you prefer or need to use. It really hammers home that point about making sure users are properly authenticated, not just once, but throughout their session if needed.
Absolutely. It's about layered defense.
So there you have it. That's our deep dive into multi-factor authentication within the Delinea platform. Clearly, it's way more than just slapping a second password on the login screen. It's this dynamic, context-aware security layer that really gets integrated into all the critical actions logging in, yes, but also elevating privileges, grabbing sensitive secrets.
Yeah. And if we try to connect this to the bigger picture, I think what Delinea shows here is that really robust security. It isn't about building in flexible walls. It's more about intelligently applying the right kind of authentication, precisely at the points where there's actual risk. Even handling situations like being offline or adapting to changing context, that's pretty sophisticated stuff. And, it raises a really interesting question for the future, doesn't it? As these kinds of adaptive, context-aware MFA strategies continue to evolve, how might that fundamentally change our whole concept of digital trust? especially in a world that just keeps getting more interconnected and frankly more complex.